One of two Virginia cops who pulled guns on and assaulted an Army officer has been fired. The situation stems from a traffic stop involving an Army officer by the name of Karen Nazario, who is both Latino and Black. Nazario was driving on a dark road in rural Virginia when the police tried to pull him over for allegedly a missing license plate. The car actually had a temporary license plate since it was a new car. Anyway, at that point, Windsor, Virginia police officer Joe Gutierrez tried to pull him over. And unfortunately, the situation became very violent from that moment on. So I wanna show you the video of what occurred, and then I'll give you more details about the aftermath.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I ask you what's going on?
Get out now.
I have not committed any crimes.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest for, you're being detained, okay? You're being detained for
a traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told me why I'm being stopped.
About 2 to 3 minutes in, Officer Crocker tried to open the driver's door. In his report, he wrote, quote, "When I attempted to unlock and open the driver's door, the driver assaulted myself by striking my hand away and pulled away from Officer Gutierrez's grip." But in his own body camera footage, Nazario is not seen striking anyone. Crocker's report also says that at this point, Gutierrez, quote, "gave several more commands to comply with orders or he would be sprayed with his OC spray. But no such warnings could be heard." Gutierrez just sprayed Nazario, still without either officer having told Nazario what exactly he was pulled over for.
That's f***ed up. That's f***ed
the car now.
I don't even want to reach for my seatbelt. Can you
take your seatbelt off and get out of the car? You made this way more difficult than it had to be. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me
on the ground now.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating. Get on the ground.
So already from that video, you can see where the police report differs significantly from what actually happened and what was caught on that footage that we showed you. I should also note that since the Army officer here, Nazario, was driving on a dark rural road, what he did when the cops tried to pull him over was put his blinker on, indicating that he intends to pull over, but he drove to a lit area for the officer's safety and for his own safety. And so that is gonna be discussed in this next clip, which also touches on what I'm sure many people are thinking about front and center, and that's the racial component to this story. Let's take a look.
Nazario explained why he didn't immediately pull over.
I was pulling over to a well-lit area for my safety and yours. I have respect for law enforcement.
But Gutierrez said that wasn't the problem.
The what the media is spewing with the race relations between minorities and law enforcement, I get it, okay? So like I told you, as far as you not stopping and because you weren't comfortable and you wanted a well-lit spot, Lieutenant, that happens all the time. It happens to me a lot. And it's I would say 80% of the time, not always, 80% of the time, it's a minority.
And while the officers couldn't understand why Nazario didn't get out of the car as instructed,
I wouldn't comply.
Nazario said he didn't know why he was being stopped.
I've never looked out the window and saw guns blazing immediately.
Gutierrez eventually told Nazario that he had a conversation with the chief of police and was giving him the option to let this all go.
There's no need getting this on your record. I don't want it on your record. However, it's entirely up to you. If you want to fight it and argue, I mean, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, okay? I mean, you have that right as a citizen. If that's what you want, we'll charge you. It doesn't change my life one way or the way.
After reviewing that footage, Windsor, Virginia police have decided to fire police officer Joe Gutierrez, and obviously for good reason. Everything that the Army officer alleged has been proven by that video, including the very clear threat regarding Nazario's military reputation and future. So there have already been some consequences. The other cop that was there seemed pretty terrified and didn't know what he was doing. I'm not saying that he's not gonna face any consequences or shouldn't, but that's where we're at with the story right now. Cenk, what do you think?
So one of the worst parts of it was right in the beginning when they pull up to him, and for about a minute they keep yelling two contradictory commands. And watching the video, I had read the headline. I knew he hadn't been killed, but I was so worried that something worse was going to happen to him because they kept saying, "Put your hands out the window and get out of the car." Well, if your seatbelt is buckled, you can't have your hands outside the window and get out of the car. You just can't. And you saw that play out later in the video, and you guys saw some of that in the portions that we played, right? And so and I remember a story we covered where in that case it was a white guy in a hotel room, and the cops had him crawling around on the floor, and they kept giving him contradictory orders. And when he followed one but not the other because he couldn't do both at the same time, they shot him dead, right? So that's why I was so worried for this guy at the beginning of the video. Luckily, in this case, they didn't shoot him. I mean, this is the lowest bar we have, right? And we're always like, oh my God, he didn't get murdered for no reason, thank God. All right, now let's talk about the rest of the story, right? And then when you talk about that, so getting pulled over, he didn't have tags. It turns out he did have tags. It was temporary tags. It's super clear. So guys, think about it, okay? Just in every one of these stories, all I ask you to do is put yourself in each person's shoes, right? So if you're the driver of a car, it doesn't matter what race you are, right? If the cops pull up on you when you have an excellent sense that you didn't do anything wrong, and they pull guns immediately. I mean, I've been pulled over a lot of times. I never got a gun pulled on me. I'd be like, oh my God, what is going on? Why are they pulling guns on me? What's happening? And they're like, get out of the car and have your hands out. And it looks like, do they have me mistaken with someone else that's like a mortal danger to everyone in this neighborhood? I mean, what kind of an incredible murderer do they think I am to get this kind of treatment? And that was over because he had perfectly legitimate temporary tags and that you either saw or didn't see, and you wanted to pull him over because he was a black man in a nice looking car. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. And you saw the officer talk about minorities later, right? So you know, if it happened to a white right winger, they would be enraged. They would be enraged. How dare you treat me like this? I have my rights. When a white right winger says that, they feel perfectly emboldened to say it. When a African American person says it, no matter where they're from, in this case, a lieutenant in the army, they think, how dare you not get on the ground with your face on the pavement with a gun to your head for no reason at all? Comply, you must comply. If you don't comply, even within an inch, we have every right to execute you. Now, we're supposed to accept this. And guys, I'm tired of the bad apple nonsense. Totally, I'm exhausted. How many videos are like this? We've literally shown you hundreds of videos like this. It's not bad apples. We train cops to be vicious. We train cops to enforce their authority, and that is their #1 priority. It doesn't matter what the crime is. It matters to some degree who the person is and what race they are. Okay, but most importantly, if they do not comply with your orders, contradictory, logical, legal or not legal, it doesn't matter. Then you crush that citizen and you show them who's boss by either shooting them, tasering them, pounding their face in the pavement. Why are they arresting the guy in the first place? They didn't even ask him a single question. He's in the car, he's got his hands out, he's not a threat. Why don't you go ask him a question? Hey, how about your tags? Oh, right, there's your tags. Hey, are you a criminal for no reason? I'm asking you because you're black. Ask him the question. I don't know. Ask him what you're going to ask him. No, and they're never going to do anything. Now the governor in Minnesota in a different story is talking about, oh, we have to do something. Oh, shut up. They are constantly with the politicians. Oh, we should do something, but not defund the police, not this, not that, not this, not this. Police union, give me the money, police union. Okay, I love you guys, etc. I almost said it. Anyway, so they're not gonna do anything. They're gonna pull over more black people. They're gonna kill more of them. They're gonna threaten more of them. But if you actually go to fix the problem, which is police training, and you say, hey, maybe the cops shouldn't go to maximum force every single time, they're gonna say, oh, you're endangering police lives. You're endangering police lives. Nothing but total BS. I'm sick of it. So it isn't bad apples. It is the whole culture of policing because we train them to be brutal and vicious, and especially to poor people and especially to minorities.
I mean, I think it's a combination of so many different things. Yes, there's an issue with training. In this particular case, you have the police department saying that they're firing Gutierrez because he didn't follow protocol. For instance, he refused to tell Nazario what he was being pulled over for, what he was being arrested for. That was never answered. So that's point number one. Point number two is we've been dealing with story after story of unarmed individuals getting shot and killed by cops over and over and over again. And what tends to happen when there isn't a legitimate reform or response to that? Well, it emboldens cops, right? I mean, if you feel that you're invincible, if you feel that you have anger issues and you can carry them out on anyone you come across, and you don't have to deal with any consequences for literally shooting and killing an unarmed individual, well, then why would you fear? Carrying out an act of violence like that or excessive force once a situation arises. The other thing is, let's keep it real. We have a security state, a militarized police state that is a byproduct of our foreign policy as well. I mean, part of the reason why we see this militaristic activity or behavior by cops is because the giant inventory of weaponry that we have for our military continues to get made. We have a surplus and it gets shifted over to police departments. I mean, all of that creates this culture of violence that seems to be greenlit by, yes, the police union that protects the cops regardless of what they do, but also by right-wing media, by right-wing politicians, and the cycle goes on and on and on. And on the other side, do we have lawmakers who are willing to do something that's actually substantive in response to police violence? And the answer is no. Look, I'm gonna keep it real. People are gonna hate what I'm about to say. The mass protests that happened last summer were incredibly important, okay? I mean, largest protests in US history. But what did the protesters get in return from Democratic lawmakers on a local level? Oh, we're gonna do a Black Lives Matter mural in front of Trump Tower. So what? So what? What does that do to fundamentally change policing in this country? And the mass protests are important, but they need to be coupled with like some sort of mechanism to continue applying pressure to lawmakers, organized individuals who continue applying pressure, and we just have not seen that. And so what we get in response is more mass shootings, more mass shootings. I think it's too simplistic to say, oh, it's just the training. Oh yeah, one other massive thing I forgot to mention, white supremacists infiltrating local police departments across the country. That's a huge problem as well. I mean, there's so many different factors to look at. And really, there haven't been any substantive responses or reforms after we see all these examples.
No, look, let's be honest. Democrats have done nothing. What did Joe Biden do today? In the second story of police abuse in Minnesota, he went and yelled at the protesters. And because, oh, no, you don't want to seem like you're soft on protesters. And so I get it. There was looters in Minnesota, and they shouldn't do that. Yeah, well, since those protests, like Anna said, what have you done for them? Nothing. So then you say, oh, well, you shouldn't get frustrated. Well, okay, then why don't you do something? No, I'm not going to. Well, okay, then screw you. So I mean, we just covered a story last week in LA. Same thing. There's a police response. Turns out there's somebody did domestic violence. It turns out it's a white guy. They didn't hear, it didn't get conveyed to them it's a white guy. They just pull over the first black guy. And same thing, they don't even ask him any questions. They handcuff him immediately, they rough him up immediately. He says, this is my house, why are you doing this to me? They're like, how dare you? I'm a cop, I'll do whatever the hell I want. I have ultimate authority. And that's why I talk about the training. I don't mean training like, oh, you put on the handcuffs wrong. No, I mean like their entire culture is wrong. They trained them to abuse the citizens. They trained them to use as much force as possible and to never take a risk with even getting a fingernail, hurt. And they train them that if anyone looks suspicious, black people, Latinos, etc., to go rough them up and handcuff them and arrest them and ask questions later. Now at the end, Gutierrez realizes that it was a false arrest, and what does he do? He says, now I could continue to arrest you, and that'll ruin your life, or you could not make any trouble here. Oh, okay, so you know what you did is wrong, and now you're threatening to ruin his life anyway after you already screwed him over. And let's be honest about accountability. There's no accountability. Gutierrez got fired today. You know why? because the video got released. Before the video this happened back in December. Before the video got released, he wasn't fired. They would have kept him. They would have probably promoted him, because cops are allowed to get away with anything. That's what I mean by culture and training. Any politician, and they're all mealy-mouthed, they never do anything, and they're not gonna do anything. Biden's not gonna pass a goddamn thing other than things that are performative, okay? They will all claim, oh yeah, we're working so hard on the Black Lives Matter, etc. Oh, but the culture, how dare you? We have to protect the police. I mean, they had to murder the people, bad apples. Let's fire that guy, let's fire that guy. Did you ever fire any of their trainers? Did you ever fire any of their bosses? Did you ever go in there and say, stop killing people because you thought, hey, it's a black person and I'm in danger, I'll just shoot him and be done with it. Or in this case, I'll pound him into the pavement just in case. No, they're never gonna change it. That's why people are sick of white supremacy and these overlords constantly bullying us and then forcing people that are protesting to apologize. Stop with the apologies. Demand some goddamn change, including from Democrats who never do anything.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.